Welcome to another episode of Beyond Physical, where we talk about the mental, emotional, social, and at times spiritual benefits of exercise. We believe that exercise is more than movement, and this podcast is our attempt at sharing that message with the world by sharing our own as well as our guests' experiences and knowledge. If you enjoy it, we ask that you please spread the message by leaving a rating and review, or even better, by sharing with a friend. Hello. Spree. Everybody, welcome to another episode of Beyond Physical. If you hear chatter in the background, that's because we've got a very cool run, swim, gym, hybrid, quote-unquote hybrid focused event happening at the gym today. It's our second last day in the gym. It's a pretty surreal feeling, very exciting. We're moving officially in 2 days' time on the 26th. This is going to come out on the 27th and we'll be well underway with the move by then. So don't try and come to the gym if you're listening to this right now, unless you're listening to this after the 27th of September 2024. Then we are in our new location, 126 Main Road, Sea Point, Horizon Gym, opposite Studburger, opposite... what is the other place for opposite? Fat Cactus, yeah. But we're going to touch on a little bit of a reflection from the weekend's festivities at the first Hyrox event in Africa. And I'm not going to lie, if you guys would have listened to the last episode, I was a little bit apprehensive about it. I wasn't 100% sure. I was very underprepared. Claire and I did zero preparation. I lie, I did one Hyrox workout, so that's one preparation worth of preparations. And it was a very cool atmosphere. I think that's one thing I can speak to, is that the vibe was immaculate. It was quite a well hyped event, and I think I did expect that going into it, but it was pretty cool to go in there and kind of feel that palpable energy. There was a lot of excitement, I think, because everyone's been seeing and talking about Hyrox for the last couple of years. And now having it here in Cape Town, a place where people love to move and people are very connected with exercise and being outdoors, even though Hyrox was indoors, made it a very exciting event for people. So that was awesome. And I had a couple of friends involved in the organization of it, which was really cool to see. And I was super happy and, proud of them to kind of be pioneering the space in Cape Town. And my view on Hyrox after having done it, as opposed to how I felt the week prior, or no, it was the day before. So we recorded that. I don't know if it was. No, it was a couple of days before when we recorded that episode, and then we released it the day before, about whether we felt Hyrox was overrated or underrated, which was the previous episode to this. I think my opinion remains pretty much the same. So I see a huge value in it. So I think the value lies in it will get people who lift who don't run to run, and people who run but don't lift to lift, and that's awesome. And it's obviously a combination of different forms of exercise, so it's a nice little cocktail, if you will, of different sort of exercise-induced hormone highs, which is cool. And that was a lot of fun. But personally, I still think I prefer ultra running and powerlifting, so lifting really heavy for very low reps and doing those two things separately, because I feel like you can get more out of those individual things when they are done separately. And that was kind of my main takeaway. It was really interesting to be in a workout or an exercise format where you spent the majority of your time in or above threshold heart rate. So my heart was pretty much coming out of my throat half the time when I was running around that track. That's when it settled. But doing the sled pull, doing the burpee broad jumps, doing the wall ball, those things were brutal. And, going into it with little to no understanding of how the sport actually worked, I think that element was a slight barrier. It's not overly complicated, but I did get a time penalty in my pro men's event because I did the exercises in the wrong order, and I think that definitely had to do with me kind of not knowing what's going on, but also I felt like it was a little bit confusing at times. But I think that's normal for a new sport. Not everyone's just going to know what's happening. I think if you have never watched rugby ever or played rugby, and you get put on a rugby field and get just told to play, you're going to run in the wrong direction. You're not even going to know what's going on. And that's, I think, the reflection I had was maybe if I'd studied the sports a little bit more, I would have had a kind of an easier introduction to the day. What I also found, there was something else that I wanted to say about the actual event, which I've now forgotten. A couple of things that I think maybe could have been slightly better is, like I said, that kind of the sequence of things and how that was explained. Maybe like in the starting shoot for them to go, like, because on the TV, what they basically did. So when you got into the start shoot, and for context, let me just take us back to the beginning here. I did a mixed doubles event with Claire, and then after that, I did the pro men's singles about 4 or 5 hours later. Not advisable, I don't think, to do two in one day. It was quite hectic, but it was fun. Went for all you can eat sushi in between. It was a good vibe, good day. But when you stand in this little starting shoot where your batch starts, they have a TV up in front of you, and they basically show all these like motivational clips and then do a countdown. I think, to be honest, what would probably be more valuable is, instead of doing that motivational thing, if they put like a reminder maybe of the sequence of the event. I don't know. I think that could have been helpful. And I also think they really could definitely do with a medic tent. That was something that I was very baffled that they didn't have, because that's kind of quite normal for there to be those at these athletic events, because people often have health complications. New Muti. The newest Muti, the goodest Muti. Not sponsored. We pay for these. So, anyway, it was all in all, like I said, I think it was a great atmosphere. I think that's something that I took away that was probably a selling point. I was given my tickets. So my tickets were complimentary from the organization, both the mixed doubles and the pro ticket. I don't know if I would have paid 1,200 Rand for those tickets. And that might just be because I'm very used to what running event tickets cost. But even then, like an ultra, if you run a 100 miler, that's like 6 grand. So that's not cheap. But at least I feel like you get a lot more at aid stations. So that was one little administrative thing that I think could have been a little bit better, is they could have maybe positioned one of the aid stations, firstly, on the running, kind of like just outside of the, so basically there's a track that runs around all these like exercise stations in the middle, and the aid stations are only in the middle. And I think that if they could put an aid station where you could reach from the track whilst you're doing your run, that could be quite helpful. A lot of people spoke about dry mouth, so I think that could have helped. I think it was cool having it indoors, and obviously you want to kind of mitigate the risk of weather-related disturbances and disruptions. I think that it would have been cooler if it was outdoors. So if they could maybe find a venue that has a retractable roof, but those are very few and far apart, especially in Cape Town. I don't even know. I think they want to install one at the stadium. Yeah, it's going to cost like 30 million Rand. Yeah, so it's like, I mean, it's not a very common thing for venues to have like what they have. I think they have it at Wimbledon, where they can open and yeah. So it's like, I don't really think, do they close that during rugby games when it rains? That's hype. That's very cool. Hopefully it rains. Yeah, it probably will. But no, Mark and I were just talking about the kind of the spectacle that is the Millennium Stadium roof. So yeah. Anyway, so that was another aspect that could have been cool. And I mean, you can't really have a fitness event where you've got equipment outside without cover, because if it rains and then your equipment rusts, it's millions of rands worth of equipment that's getting damaged, and that's not good. So I kind of understand it from that point. But I think another element that I would have approached the event kind of differently from would have been how I prepared, which is I would have prepared, because because I mean, the thing is, I generally really enjoy a prep. Like, I love doing an event prep where there's a build, and you kind of week in, week out, you're chipping away and building towards this goal, and then the event is the culmination of all the weeks and months that you've put into preparing for this thing, and like that just makes it so much more of a vibe, and it makes the actual day more exciting. So I think that would have also been something that I would have changed, and that's purely from my side. That's got nothing to do with the event. And with it coming around again in March, maybe I'll look at doing it again, because I feel like it would be fun to push for a time. I am quite competitive naturally, so I like to do things like that. And I think with some preparation, that would be something that I'd enjoy. But I mean, for now, it's definitely not a top priority. Personally, I definitely, well, Mark and I are cooking up a content series about the double that's happening in a month, just under a month, which is really exciting. So that's the Cape Town Trail Marathon, followed by the Cape Town Road Marathon the next morning, and that's kind of more my vibe. I think I'm still definitely in the ultra marathon headspace, and I'm not quite ready yet to bridge into that sort of CrossFit style. I'm sorry for any Hyrox fundies to call it CrossFit, but that sort of style of workout. I'd prefer to keep on keeping on with the ultra stuff. And who knows? I mean, it could be a cool thing to throw in every now and then. I know Nick Bear is currently prepping for a Hyrox, and then he's going for a sub 2:39 marathon. So it's definitely something that you can build into your workout regime. And I think to be honest, I think there's huge benefit in doing one Hyrox style workout a week. So taking yourself into that threshold zone with weights and doing a cross training type thing once a week for maybe 45 minutes. 60 minutes, and I think that will have benefit across the board. I think more than that, probably going to start opening yourself up to more harm than good, but that's just my opinion. Obviously, for different people, they might have different experiences, and that's completely fine. However, I think that you can keep yourself primed and ready for a Hyrox by doing that amount of training, and I also think that you will be able to kind of get enjoyment out of it by doing that amount of training, and you'll actually get the health benefit of it, because I do think that exposing yourself to different exercise modalities is very beneficial. So I think that is something that I will look to incorporate once I've squashed this next ultra challenge. I just did a threshold workout on the promenade, so I'm a little bit dorse. But I think for sure, if anyone is considering doing it, you should give it a go. But my 2 cents is prepare and make sure that you have some sort of nutrition protocol as well, because I just used the same kind of nutrition protocols I do for running, and I did cramp in my pro men's lunge event, but it went away thereafter. But the biggest takeaway I had around other people's preparations, I looked around and I saw tons of people cramping. And I think that is something that can be avoided, because I mean, it's not a particularly long format. It's not a very long workout. It's 8Ks of running, and it's 8 different exercises, which is for, I don't know, moderately fit person, maybe an hour and 45, an hour and 50 minutes, which if you fuel properly, you shouldn't be cramping. And I think that that's something that requires, or kind of could use a whole lot more attention from a bunch of the participants, is how you fuel. And what was really interesting was I didn't see very many people stopping at the electrolyte station. That I thought was hugely valuable, that little pit stop. And without fail, pretty much 9 times out of 10, I stopped at that station and I downed a little cup of electrolytes. And then in the one that was earlier on in the day, I had a little cup of Red Bull as well. So I think just paying attention to your nutrition and getting your electrolytes in, getting some form of carbohydrate in as well, and maybe a little bit of caffeine for that boost, is definitely going to help. And I'm by no means a Hyrox expert, but just with general nutrition principles borrowed from my running and lifting, I think that would be very helpful. So in a nutshell, Hyrox, yes, no. I think yes, do it. Would I kind of pick it as one of my 3 things to only be able to do ever again in terms of exercise? No, I don't think it spoke to me really to that degree, but I do think that I should give it another go and see how I feel about it once I've given it an actual prep. But I encourage that you go and give it a go and put some weighted threshold stuff into your training regime. And I think that you would be surprised with some of the benefits, because I think there's a lot of value there. But if you've got any Hyrox related inquiries, do not ask me. Ask my friend Menzi from the 994. He's very knowledgeable, and he actually emceed. But pop him a DM. His Instagram is the Fitlosopher, and just pick his brain, because he's pretty much a Hyrox expert at this stage. But until next time, this is Beyond Physical, and thanks for listening. Thank you so much for listening to the show, guys. We love answering specific questions. So if there's anything you want to know, leave a comment or reach out to us directly at HorizonZA on Instagram, or email us at movement@horizongym.com. Until next time, I'm your host, Seb Prentice, and this is Beyond Physical.